There we go. That was weird.
There we go. All right. Gotta look good.
Gotta get in here. It's the beginning of the week, and that means it is time once again for MASL Mondays, wrapping up all of your exciting semifinal action and previewing the Ron Newman Cup Finals coming up very shortly for all of you MASL fans. But first, welcome to the show. My name is Adam Snavely, as always, joined by my partner in crime and current just all over denim wearer, Pablo Morer. Pablo, you are the most American right now. Just I can't even. There's stars, there's stripes, there's denim everywhere.
Yeah, actually from the chest down, it's the body of a hot dog. I'm just a hot dog. Yeah, exactly. Right. What do you got there? You got a loyal kit, San Diego loyal kit.
I do
represent.
I've worn this on the show before, so this is a little bit of a outfit repeat for me. I decided to wear it for this show because the Ron Newman Cup Finals are going to feature obviously the San Diego Sockers, but also
and Landon Donovan, who is I think we can all agree like the most prominent, legendary San Diego soccer player in the entire club's history. I'm kidding, obviously, but yeah. Current head coach of Loyal.
You could probably make an argument. I don't know how important he is to the grand scheme of soccer's history, but there's an argument to be made that simply playing there makes him one of the most important. Who knows? He's a San Diego legend. I also wore it though because the San Diego Loyal conveniently are green and orange as their primary colors, which also happens to be the primary colors of one Florida Tropics, who will be meeting the San Diego Sockers in the final. So I have kind of split the difference and taken on Florida Tropics colors with San Diego kit.
You do you, Saves. That seems like a really long-winded description of why you're wearing a Loyal jersey, but
I'm all the way here for an overly complicated explanation of things, but I don't want anybody to think that I am picking sides, even though I will pick sides probably in this episode. But that is for the future of the episode in general. And before we get to that, let's talk about the semifinal matchups, because these were some bangers. We had multiple extra games. We had one first game go to overtime. There's a lot of exciting indoor soccer that was being played between Chihuahua and San Diego and between the Kansas City Comets and the Florida Tropics. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the games, Pablo, what do you think generally watching the games and some of the atmosphere that was being put out by the fans in the stadiums here?
Yeah, I mean, Chihuahua, I'm not going to lie. Every time I watch a game there, it looks like just the most positively lit atmosphere in the league. I mean, obviously, San Diego's great crowds. There are lots of contestants here, but that place looks like a madhouse. I mean, there are fans literally inches away from the goalkeeper. There are fans seemingly clinging to the top of the boards. There are fans everywhere. I like say what you will about the production of their broadcasts. I think having the volume at 13 for the commentary crew has its own little meta charm.
Yes.
But yeah, obviously. And I mean, I think we probably it was a back and forth game. Moment of the match has to be Craig Chiles's just absolute execution.
Oof, just absolutely.
To tie the game with seconds left. I mean, just absolutely brutal.
Let's just take a second and watch the goal.
Cuidado, 11, quedan 15 segundos. Aquí en la arena, corner, Carlitos. ¿Nos vamos o nos quedamos? Le va a pegar Childs. Childs, gol. No puede ser. ¡Gol! No puedo creer. Childs. ¡Qué golazo! ¡Y los aventó todos los malditos!
Craig Child, the mustache in full effect.
Really does look like a butcher just casually wandering out of the back room at his meat shop covered in blood. And absolutely incredible.
To then just plant a free kick in the top corner with 11 seconds left to tie the game. Yeah. It's hard to describe just how clutch the moment is and how awesome the celebration is to just to just walk calmly away from the spot after doing that.
As the commentator says, this cannot be. This cannot be.
This cannot be.
Yeah. Oh, but it is.
And it absolutely is. So we did have a really, really close game in Chihuahua for the first leg of the semifinals between Chihuahua and San Diego. Obviously, there was the Craig Giles free kick, but really, you had leads changing hands multiple times. You had a lot of really, really good goals, a lot of really great finishes. And then there's this almost this little chink that appears in San Diego's armor that I think I want to talk about this when we talk about the eventual finals. But I think that Chihuahua, more than most teams in this league, have kind of figured out the way to really get under San Diego's skin. And it really reared its head up in these final seconds. San Diego gets a too many men on the field penalty called on them. They get a blue card that carries over into overtime, and Edgar Gonzalez scores the eventual winner on a power play. That is rough. That is a rough watch if you're a San Diego fan to see that is how the team goes out in that scenario.
It's shrewd. I mean, they lost the only 2 games they lost this year. They both lost in OT. It is a tough way to go out. Obviously, it kind of comes out in the wash for San Diego, who are advancing at the end of the day. But yeah, it's some craftiness there by Chihuahua.
Yeah, definitely.
I look savage.
Yes. And moving on to game 2, obviously San Diego had a little bit of an easier time of it at home and forced things to the extra game. A fun fact about MASL extra game history, and this is coming from Ken and the MASL Off the Wall Facebook group. Thank you very much, MASL Off the Wall users and Ken. In the league's history, teams in a 2+ game series, so more than 2 games or more, that I should say, that win the first game at home have won the series 10 of 16 times. But before this semifinal round, which featured 2 extra games, teams with a home field advantage for the mini game / the extra time game were only 8-9 in MASL history before this semifinal round. Things have changed. The home team now takes the slight advantage after these semifinals because San Diego came to play not only in game 2, but also in the extra game, which was it's in itself, the whole game 2 and extra game was kind of a highlight reel for San Diego. The fans going crazy, some great goals being scored. Obviously, there was in the second game before the extra game, you have the Felipe Gonzalez header where he just readjusts his body in midair. It's super, super impressive. And I believe we have the clip for that as well.
Gonzalez. Here's Sean Callahan at the red line. Plays to the far post, and it's headed in by Felipe Gonzalez. Goal! San Diego, the Sockers have the lead again. A sensational headed effort from the twin brother, twin one with the number 6 on his back. That's difficult. That is so difficult.
Such a hard skill to master, even in the outdoor game, and to do it that quickly in close quarters is absolutely absurd.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that he deserved every bit of that dance at the end during the goal celebration. That is a hard skill to pull off at the best of times, let alone how quickly he had to react to that cross. Obviously, things are happening a lot faster. The ball is coming at you a lot quicker in the indoor game. Still managed to just contort his body and get around on that one. Chihuahua kept this close for a long time, and eventually it all kind of crumbled in the fourth quarter for them. As they were kind of pressing forward more, looking for a goal. You saw Tavoy Morgan getting a little bit more joy in the attacking third, finally being able to kind of use both his quickness and his physical ability holding the ball up. And San Diego tacks on a few goals of insurance at the end. Moving into the extra time game, we have to talk about the big story here, and that is the Boris Pardo play where Boris Pardo is chipped. The ball appears to just miss his hands because it looked like Boris Pardo was trying for all he was worth to take this foul and possibly a penalty shootout and possibly even a red card, all things considered. And then there was no call. Game continues. Eventually, ball filters back down to Chihuahua's end of the field. Carlos Cerda steps in, intercepts a pass, dishes it off to Brandon Escoto. Escoto scores the extra game winner. Now, make your decision for yourself, and this will be coming also in under review later on in the week. We'll see Phil Luanco and Ryan Sikic talk about this as well. But for now, draw your own conclusions. Does Boris Pardo touch this ball?
Past him, Rojo in the corner, Rojo, and another save by Berna. Ball is outside his area. Reverse head attempt by Torres. Now Pee-wee miskicked that one, meant to, and it went into the corner, and Garay takes it out, and there's 6:18 left, and the elite pass, it's Cunez, and Pino runs it down. Pardo made the challenge, Pino kicks it out. The game remains tied somehow.
Did Pardo get a hand on that? Cries from the Chihuahua bench that Pardo got a hand to it while he was well out of the area.
Gutierrez, Rojo, under 6 minutes in the first quarter.
I don't think he did, but that was the complaint from the Chihuahua bench.
Pablo?
I mean, look, watching this live, and there's another angle where I think it's clearer. I thought it was a handball. In fact, I texted you and Phil, our producer, I can't believe they didn't call that. Then saw the second angle and was like, that's absolutely not a handball. So, it clearly doesn't touch his hands. Like, you made the point that spin of the ball doesn't change at all, right? Which it would have if it touched his hands. But bottom line is the other angle, which is a straight on from behind the attacker angle, the ball literally goes between his arms. Like, man, look how glorious I look with these sleeves. The ball literally goes between his arms like a field goal. I mean, it was not touched. They got the call right. You know, look, I love crapping on people. I would love to say they got the call wrong, but they didn't. You know what I mean? Like, so what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you here. The angle from behind, like you said, shows the ball kind of pretty clearly going directly through the arms, almost like a field goal. I said it beforehand. It's almost like he is kicking a field goal and has split the uprights perfectly. The angle from the side, which is the one that looks like there might be an argument here that he touched this. I think looking at it carefully, that is the one where you can see the spin of the ball, which the ball isn't spinning very fast. It's just a little dink over the keeper. And I can't see the actual spin of the ball change. So even if there is a touch there, however slight, that would barely even change the trajectory of the ball's flight. I don't see the ball changing in its spin at all. And I think that's really the key for me here, besides the angle from behind, which admittedly is farther away. But in my mind, despite Boris Pardo's possibly best efforts, he does not touch this ball. It goes clean over his head, and San Diego are lucky that it doesn't touch his hands, first of all, and then they go and score.
It's interesting, too. I mean, like, the play was reviewed, obviously. San Diego's production is fantastic. They have these multiple camera angles. Different teams, they might have had fewer angles. That honestly, you know, I genuinely think there's a world where that, what I think is not clearly handball at all, would have gotten called back. He gets a red card, completely changes the dynamic of the series.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just something interesting to think about. And in Chihuahua, that may be a handball. So
who knows? Yeah, it might in several stadiums that maybe don't have as close of a camera angle or don't have the cameras to really make that angle from behind clear, that could be called back. You know, how do you say it? It is under review. It is under review. So it is ultimately, it has to be clear, you know, but I don't know if there is enough to say, oh, this is a clear handball, even if you don't have that angle from behind. But I think that the angle from behind really put it over the top here.
I thought you were saying under review to make a natural segue into saying this
Well,
would appear on under review. I gave you too much
it will
credit.
appear in under review. Watch that show coming out this week with Vonko and Ryan Sigic. Moving on to the team that San Diego will face in the Ron Newman Cup Finals, we have the Florida Tropics, who honestly had something of a similar path to San Diego in getting through their semifinal tie with Kansas City. They went to Kansas City, had a close game, back and forth, leads changing hands multiple times, and eventually Kansas City takes that first result thanks to primarily a Ray Lee hat trick. Game 2 in Florida on the brand new turf, a little bit different as Florida really comes through and shows a lot of their finishing quality, I thought. A lot of their efficiency in transition and ability to shut down a slightly more timid looking Kansas City. They take game 2 4-2, and then as well the extra game 4-2. Pablo, any initial thoughts on these Florida Kansas City games?
Yeah, a couple thoughts. One is that our producer Phil was wrong in his pick that Kansas City would win this series, as were several other people employed by the league. As always, I'm just looking to antagonize people that I work with. Yeah, no. For me, the highlight of the whole thing was the mini game. The first 2 games were compelling enough on their own, but obviously, I think the mini game, much like San Diego and Chihuahua, was where the real action sort of started.
Yeah, and I think that in that extra game, you saw some really impressive sequences, really quick counterattacks pulled out by Florida. You had a couple goals scored by Ricardo Dieguez. You had a really nice Zach Reggett volley, which was not like a stunning volley in kind of the I guess distance from goal he was, but really just a great ball in and an excellent finish. Despite the fact that we were making fun of a little bit the Florida Tropics announcer saying it was the best goal of the playoffs, considering Benji Monreal's goal for Kansas City against Dallas in the last round, not to mention several other Florida Tropics goals that I think that we would put over this goal by Zach Reggett. Nonetheless,
or maybe even like goals scored by the same player earlier in the
playoffs. It might not even be Zach Reggett's best goal of the playoffs, but you know what? It was a really nice goal. It helped seal the deal. Kansas City mounted a small comeback, but it was too little, too late. And you have Florida taking it and going to the Ron Newman Cup Finals. So the Ron Newman Cup Finals are set. It will be the San Diego Sockers versus the Florida Tropics. Pablo, what do you think some keys for San Diego will be looking forward to this final series of the playoffs?
Look, I mean, they've been borderline unbeatable all year, right? All they pretty much have to do is continue to execute, get the most out of their elite players. Craig Childs, obviously, try and limit Pardo's exposure, although he's been, arguably the best keeper in the league, first teamer. So I don't know how much help he actually needs. But again, man, I mean, just like continue to execute and see what happens. Florida obviously has a taller task at hand. But what do you make of them heading into this?
I think it will be easy for a lot of people to look at the one game that the two teams have played against each other, in which San Diego resoundingly defeated Florida. But you have to look at the context of that Florida-San Diego game. Florida was in the midst of a 4-game away series in which they traveled up to Harrisburg, then to Utica, then to Ontario, California, and finally finished that road trip off in San Diego. They played San Diego literally the night after they played the Ontario Fury. It was going to always be an extremely difficult game for them. And I think that this is going to be a bit more close, both in terms of the rest they're going to get going into the series and the just the atmosphere of playing for a cup final. It's going to be much more close. It's going to be intense. I think for Florida, you have to look at what Chihuahua did so well, which was frustrating San Diego, because San Diego showed that they can be frustrated. And when they get frustrated, when they're not scoring goals, when they're not taking the lead or a commanding lead, despite Phil's assertion that they are a slow cooker and that they will patiently dismantle you, there wasn't a lot of patience against Chihuahua. There was a lot of snippiness, some costly fouls, and even some fouls that didn't go for blue cards. You had a lot of diving in that second game from people like Tavoy Morgan when he wasn't getting as much space. He wasn't getting as much time on the ball as he wanted to be. And they were giving the ball away cheaply a bunch. If Chihuahua had finished with a little bit more regularity in that second game, this could be an entirely different situation, because I think that game was there for the taking for them against San Diego, and they didn't convert. If Florida are going to take this game against San Diego, they have to convert their chances. The people like the Zach Regets, the Victor Pereiras, the Ricardo Dieguses of the world have to take their chances like they did especially in that extra game against Kansas City, where they were kind of lights out in terms of finishing their chances. They have to do that, and they have to commit to frustrating San Diego. Don't give Tavoy Morgan and Craig Childs space on the ball. You're going to have to contend with Leo de Oliveira back. Don't give them time on the ball. You have to frustrate them and let them make mistakes for you. I think that's the only pathway for Florida to possibly take this Ron Newman Cup Finals over San Diego.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I want to go. I'm going to try and go. Look, I got a lot going on here. I got multiple jobs. I got defending myself from baseless lawsuits by ex-wives. I don't know. That's actually not true. But I'm going to do everything I can to get out to San Diego at least. It's like kind of quasi your neck of the woods too, right?
It is quasi my neck of the woods. So I think that second game we're going to give it our best shot in trying to make it happen and be there in person. Would really, really love to be there and seeing the game, especially with that San Diego crowd. If that second game against Chihuahua was any indication, would really, really like to see a game there. If you are looking for the Ron Newman Cup final and the times to watch it, the first game, game one in Florida, will happen 7 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday, May 2nd. And game two is going to be Sunday, May 8th in San Diego at 8:05 Eastern time. You can catch both games on Twitch at MASL_soccer. If you are looking to watch the games, if you're looking to chat, if you're looking to watch with a community of people. There were 10,000 people watching on Twitch for that second game between San Diego and Chihuahua. And there's a lot of fun stuff happening in the chat, a lot of discussion.
It's legitimately fun. I say this as like an absolute hater. It's fun to just pull it up. I was just gazing at the comments essentially during the game, during this week's streams, so it's fun. A lot of obscure MISL history comes out in the chat. It's amazing. I learned a lot randomly about the oh man, I forgot the name. It was a NPSL team in Canton, Ohio. Canton Invaders, I believe, space themed team.
Yes,
so
perfect.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. Anyways, sidetracked.
No, I mean, hey, what is this show if not a series of segues and sidetracks? If you are looking for the Ron Newman Cup Finals, you can catch them on Twitch. Or if you're looking to go and check out the games in person, can't recommend it enough. Always a very fun experience going and watching MASL live. Pablo, one last thing for this show. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about some of these MASL awards. You have the Elite Six, the MASL's season's first team, and then the second team as well. I'll just go through the first team. I don't think that there's a ton to argue with the first team. I will say that outright. You have Ian Bennett, obviously, from the Milwaukee Wave, and lining up with him at forward, there is Tavoy Morgan from the San Diego Sockers. In the midfield, there's Victor Pereiras from Florida, and then joining him from Florida in defense, you have Chad Vandergriff, and then from the Ontario Fury, Robert Palmer. First team goalkeeper, Boris Pardo for the San Diego Sockers. Thoughts, Pablo? I don't have much to say here.
Yeah, I mean, the only, we'll get to the second team momentarily. The second team keeper, Juan Gumbo, obviously from Dallas. I'm going to give him like an outside shot of supplanting Pardo in the 6. I know it's a little ridiculous, but it's actually not a little ridiculous. It's fine. Obviously, Pardo has been a rock for San Diego, and they're, and I don't know, the safe money is on them, winning the league this year, winning the playoffs, I should say, becoming champions. There are many ways to say what I'm trying to say right now, but I'm failing at all of them. But Gamboa, man, stood on his head all year for Dallas with, let's be real, less talent around him. I genuinely think there's maybe a shout that he gets that instead of Boris, but that's just me. That's just me being controversial, Adam.
Ooh, I can. The take is so hot. I'm practically
right. The hate mail is already arriving.
The steam coming out of my headphones. It's wild. I agree with you there. I think that Juan Gamboa obviously has a shout to be in the first team. I think I agreed with you more before the playoff series. Boris Pardo has made some absolutely stunning saves in the playoffs so far. And I think he's really driven home that MASL first team award for himself. Juan Gamboa, obviously a great player, obviously does not have as good of a team around him. So that also plays into a factor. I think both are great keepers. I think they're probably the two best keepers in the MASL. So all things considered, sure, I think the Gamboa has a shout to be in the first team, but ultimately I'm not upset at all about Boris Pardo being the first team over Juan Gamboa, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like more to talk about with the second team probably than there is with the first, obviously.
I do have one thing in the second team.
I might have two. I mean, I think they're the two. Maybe we could call them like legacy picks. I don't know, Leo Gibson and Nick Pereira. Leo, I'm not going to say one bad word about Leo Gibson. I know better.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. And Nick obviously was crucial, especially given the team he played on.
Yes.
Maybe there's a fair shout here, but I'm not really sure that either of them objectively belong in this team. Do you agree or disagree with me, Adam?
I am a fan of Nick Pereira, and I think he belongs in this team, specifically for just how good his attacking output was, despite the fact that Tacoma was very bad and he was kind of dragging them forward almost all season long. That is upheld in the stats, and that's upheld if you just watch some Tacoma games. The Tacoma games where Tacoma was doing well, Nick Pereira was cooking. And the Tacoma games where Tacoma was not doing well, Nick Pereira is usually still chipping in with a goal. It's just that teams were kind of doing a better job of shutting him down, and his teammates around him just couldn't carry the load for him when that happened. So I am fine with Nick Pereira here. Yeah, I think Leo Gibson had a good season, but I don't think Leo Gibson belongs in this team.
There are other, I mean, there's at least 3 soccer players, excuse me. They're all soccer players. There are 3 soccer players that could easily be in here. Mitchell Cardenas, Brandon Escoto, Leo, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's one of those things where you just don't want the entire first and second team to be members of, like the league's best team. I don't know what it is, but
yeah, and you also have different team staff people are voting on these awards as well. So you get people that are kind of voting sometimes with the home team in mind, and ultimately I think that's fine. I'm fine with it. I was very surprised to not see Leo de Oliveira make either of these teams. I think that he easily could have. Obviously, as you said as well, Brandon Escoto is another name that could have made either of these teams. Zach Reggett in Florida could have made either of these teams. And a little bit of an outside pick, but one I think, especially in the back half of the season, William Eske from the St. Louis Ambush. Really just a guy that ran that midfield and was really, really dangerous for them down the stretch. Really liked his game a lot. By and large, I'm fine with the majority of these picks. I think that in the second team, you could switch some people around and there might be a slightly more deserving 6.
Agreed. Have you seen the new Monterey Flash logo, by the way? Do we want to talk about this? Do you have thoughts?
We haven't talked about it, but I have. I like the mountain. I like how there is both a lightning bolt and then the star above the crest, because I don't know, it just makes it seem much more chaotic.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Although I find it like entirely inoffensive. And when it comes to design, I either want, like that logo either has to be so good that it's incredible, or just the absolute most atrocious thing in the entire world. And this guy is like somewhere in between, which, by the way, probably makes it a good logo for the general public. It makes it a bad logo for Pablo. I don't know.
Well, sure. I guess this brings up the natural extension and question of where does the Washington Diplomats logo fall in that scale for you, Pablo Moore?
I don't know.
Yep, show it, brag about it.
What do you? Yeah, look at this patch. First of all, that's beautiful.
There you go.
I don't know. What's there to not like about a soccer ball with a dainty top hat and cane?
The fanciest soccer ball in all the land.
Surely.
Yeah,
I was showing Adam these before the show. I found on eBay a collection of incredible 80s soccer patches, including Soccer is a Kick in the Grass, and perhaps the best one, Soccer, the Unfootball.
The Unfootball.
Upset some of our UK viewers, I'm sure, if they exist, but whatever.
Welcome back to the Major Arena Unfootball League.
Yeah.
I love also that we showed these on camera for everybody listening at home.
This is the equivalent of like the 8th hour of the Today Show or something. All right. So anyone still listening,
if you are listening to this in audio only format, just trust that these are some incredible logos. And if you've never seen the Washington Dips logo from the old NASL days, go ahead and look that up, and you will make perfect sense of why I said it's the fanciest soccer ball in all the land. It's got a top hat and a cane. What's not to love?
Let's get out of here, Adam.
It's time. We've stated our welcome and possibly overstayed it as always, but we like to think that we had fun doing it. And as always, we like to think that we have fun with you guys. So, Ron Newman Cup Finals coming up shortly. But until that time, my name is Adam Snavely. That's Pablo Moore. And we will see you guys again very soon.